Hey everybody, Matthew from Nerd News Today here, and today we've got another action figure to check out coming to you courtesy of Diamond Select Toys. In this review, we're going to be talking about Mr. Fantastic. Today we've got another entry in Diamond's Fantastic 4 series of 7-inch action figures, and we're looking at Reed Richards himself. The funny thing about these Fantastic Four figures is that Diamond Select started doing them really quite some time ago, in fact. Their first figure was a Ben Grimm, a Thing, and I don't quite remember the exact date that one came out, but I believe it's pretty much long gone now. I mean, it was quite some time ago, enough that it's become a little bit scarcer to find. Not impossible, but a little bit harder. Sometime, I think a year or two ago, maybe even more, Diamond also released a Johnny Storm figure, which I looked at on this channel. I thought it was a really cool figure. Now fast forward to earlier this year when this guy was announced along with, finally, a Sue Storm figure. So we're going to have the Invisible Woman joining the series at some point probably next year. But today we got Mr. Fantastic, and based on some of the other reviews and some of the photos I've seen with this guy here, this might be another one of those sleeper hits. About a month or two ago, maybe even more, I reviewed Diamond Select's Blade action figure, as in Blade Vampire Hunter, and I thought that was like a figure that a lot of folks were probably passing up because they didn't really know better. But it was probably one of the best figures I've looked at this year so far. Not just from Diamond, but overall. It was packed with accessories, it had really great likenesses, different heads, a really wonderful look to it. It just really hit all the points I was looking for with the Blade figure, and just a toy in general. And I get the feeling that this Mr. Fantastic might not deliver as well as that Blade did, but we're going to get pretty close to the same level of excellence here. I've got some pretty high hopes for this figure, as you can tell here, and I'm very excited to check it out once we get out of the box. But as for that packaging, let's talk about this real quick here. Now, Diamond Select figures all come in these enormous boxes. I mean, they really are huge. You're not going to find any toys this big at all out there, especially with a plastic window this enormous. I'm looking at you, Hasbro. But Diamond Select is still, for the most part, with their Marvel series, doing this enormous style packaging, and they have been for years, really since they first got this license. It has this massive window on the front that lets you see clearly into everything this figure is coming with. And you can see that with Reed Richards, we're getting a lot of stuff, and there's some big accessories in here, as well as a lot of cool little small ones too. The side of the box has a great image of the Mr. Fantastic figure. Now back in the day, they used to do this with a cartoon image or a comic book image of the characters, but now they've really transitioned into just showing images of the toy itself for whatever reason. It's a little bit weird because, you're basically seeing toy, but yeah, it's their choice. And speaking of, you kind of still get the exact same thing on the back of the box too, because there you go once again, another image of the Mr. Fantastic action figure in all of its glory, as well as an image of him kind of with a few of the accessories on too. We also get a fairly decent bio, I'll say, about Reed Richards here. It's a pretty good biography. Although it's not so much directly a Reed bio, although it is Reed-centric, it is kind of encompassing him around the Fantastic Four as a team. I'll say it's got a pretty good balance of talking about the Fantastic Four and talking about Reed, mostly emphasizing Reed, but yeah, it's kind of cool that they are tying the team together as a whole, and that's, I think, how they should do this. But most importantly, this box lets us know the artist behind the toy, and we can credit this piece with designs by Yuri Taming and sculpting by May Tamtarana. For anybody who buys Diamond Select action figures or statues, those names are definitely familiar and they've done some good work. So again, my expectations continue to rise for this figure, but can they actually meet them once it's out of the box? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So let's take this Reed Richards now out of the packaging and get a closer look at him from all angles. All right, and here is our Mr. Fantastic now, all out of the packaging, ready to go. He's got a lot more accessories than I expected, but let me first give you a quick rotation and give you guys a 360-degree look at this figure as it spins around. But yeah, I was not expecting the sheer volume of accessories that this Mr. Fantastic comes with here. And again, just to kind of count it out for you guys, you're going to be seeing a lot of stuff here, a lot more. It's a similar amount to what the Blade figure had. Not quite as necessarily diverse, but still a lot of very cool different stuff. And I believe that there are, as I'm holding them right now in my hands, it looks like we have 3 plain hands, 3 additional arms, 2 torso bits, and another accessory. So if you add that all up, that basically comes out to a whopping total of 9 additional accessories, or 9 accessories total, I should say, not really additional, but it's in addition to the figure. So, and they're all also in pretty big sizes as well. They're in very different sizes, so as opposed to Blade, whose majority of his stuff was really just weapons in his arsenal, this time around Mr. Fantastic features a lot of stuff that's going to really drastically change how the figure looks and what it does. But first, let's spend some time talking about this head sculpt in our Mr. Fantastic here. It definitely deserves some time spent on it. So Normally I'll ask the question of whether or not toy looks like the character if it's based on somebody, but in this case, we're really just kind of asking, does this look like the comic book version of Reed Richards of Mr. Fantastic? Yeah, it does. I would say that, yes, it does. Absolutely. As I look at it, I almost want to say it kind of reminds me a little bit of like John Hamm, oddly enough. I know like John Krasinski is, the person who talked about being in the leading position for maybe playing the character in the movies. But to me, this kind of reads a little bit like John Hamm. I don't know. Something about it. I don't know if that was the intent with the sculptors, but definitely has it. But as far as likeness goes, though, it's a very good head sculpt. As far as sculpting goes, I very much like how it looks. I mean, there's actually a little bit of Bruce Campbell I could actually see in this also, and the more I look at it from certain angles. But yeah, it's got an excellent job in the sculpting here. I would have to say, one of the things I've struggled with over the years with Diamond head sculpts especially is the paint jobs on them. And they've improved over the years, and I've seen that happen on this channel. You can go back and look at some of the older toy reviews, especially the John Wick figures, and you will see how much they've changed over the course of a few years. And this Reed Richards as well, case in point, is a prime example of one of the best, cleanest paint jobs that they've done. Because that's the thing, when you have a great head sculpt, and this is a great head sculpt, a lot of that detail can get lost when you start overpainting it. And that was the problem with a lot of their stuff. Their tones were really weird and very red and highly pinkish, and just frankly too thick. They were overpainted. And now they're painting like just the right amount, and you could really, really appreciate the sculpting detail a whole lot better. So kudos to them on that. And likewise, the hair is really good as well. You guys can see wonderful sculpting detail in this. No matter what angle that you're looking at it from, Reed Richards has some kind of funny hair, but they definitely captured it. Now, as far as transitioning from the brown to the white, it's not very seamless, but really never is in the comics either, so I'm fine with that. So great job on the head sculpt, great job on the hair, and excellent paint overall. Really a very strong start here, and very much continues as we start to scroll down again. Just to give you guys another look at the whole body here. This is them in a fairly recent look for the Fantastic Four with the black gloves and black boots and the black neck piece, whatever we're gonna call that, I don't know. But yeah, as opposed to being like the white like it was for very, very long. This is, I think, a little bit more akin to what it's like currently, although I haven't read Fantastic Four in a little bit, so I'm not quite sure what changes they made to the outfit since then, but this is meant to be a more contemporary style of the Fantastic Four. And again, just a very nice, simple, clean paint job. And there is some toning in here as well, which I'm hoping you guys can see, but there is toning underneath the muscles on really all the little seams and all the folds in his outfit. So a lot of great detail into this piece here. And you can very much see that as you look through the whole thing. Chest, arm, shoulders, even in the legs and the thighs, you're seeing some of that detail there. So really, really very well done. Digging that a lot, Didn't think I'd like it as much, but here we are. Now let's talk articulation also. And Diamond's figures are not really known for having like super amazing articulation, but they have good articulation. So the head is ball jointed, it can move left and right. The shoulders, besides being really kind of stiff, but not too stiff, oddly enough. Ball jointed shoulder. We've got thigh. We have a bicep swivel, which you can see. We also have a single joint elbow, but it's one of these like round style elbows. So got a decent range of motion with that. We have a wrist that can rotate, and looks like, oh, the glove also moves. Okay, the glove is actually articulated as well. Didn't expect that in there. Now, the hands, let's see. I'm trying to check the other hand. Okay, yes, they do bend and flex and rotate, so that's good to know. The torso does move, but it's a little stiff. The waist moves. Now that's rare. That's actually a very rare thing for Diamond figures to have on them. And we'll see why. I guess it rotates in a little bit, but that does actually move. So wow, that's cool to see. We have very good leg articulation on the Mr. Fantastic. You can even see him right now doing a full-on split, and also a really nice high kick. Look at that. Some great flexibility there. But yeah, we also have his knee joint, which is not double jointed, but it's also on a similar sort of round joint like his elbow is. And then also the ankle can, let's see, it can flex, but it looks like it does not. No, okay, it does. Okay, it does rotate. So yeah, overall, good articulation. It's not my favorite. It's not like a WWE Elite figure, but it's overall still pretty darn good for what this is. And the fact that the waist actually moves, that's very, very unusual for a Diamond Select figure to do. So there is a reason for it, like I mentioned, and I guess now it's time to start looking at accessories. And that's going to begin by pulling our Mr. Fantastic in half. Because yes, he actually in fact does pop out of this part here of his torso. So, and not only that, I think this piece also is supposed to come out, but we'll get back to that. So let's start talking accessories here. And the first one I'm going to show you guys is the biggest one. This is essentially another body part from Mr. Fantastic. This is, well, yeah, it's his torso. That's exactly what we're looking at here. This is his torso. It's going to replace his legs, which I have right here. That's how tall this piece is. So this is him in like super stretchy mode. And what you're going to do is take your other half, Mr. Fantastic, and we'll hope that this works out correctly. You just stick him on here, and you should be able to just, oh yeah, really easily pop him into place. And there he is. So now you've got him in all of his stretchy glory, and that's pretty cool. That's really something I don't think has been tried before with any Fantastic Four toys. The fact that you've got a Reed Richards now that actually does, in fact, have this like super stretchy body part. And keep in mind, he's not like costing more than another Diamond figure. I mean, he's basically the same price as any Diamond figure out there. But coming with this alone, I mean, you know, if that was his only accessory, I wouldn't have been surprised. But there is plenty more. But yeah, just to also show you guys, you know, I've got another figure here, just so you can see it actually does in fact hold someone else in there. And now our Mr. Fantastic can put 1, 2, 3 Kid into a headlock. But that's not all this figure comes with. There's, in fact, a whole lot more. So let's keep going. Now, I believe our Mr. Fantastic here should also be able to pull, yep, there we go, this part of his torso out. And we can now add another part to him. There we go. And we now have another stretchy bit of body from Mr. Fantastic. And if you're curious, yes, this can go right back onto that giant body. In fact, I'll show you that right now, because the nice thing about this is that it has been very easily coming on and off. But yeah, there you go. We have this torso piece hiding over here. I'll leave that next to it just for scale, but there you go. And yes, I can push that down even further, so you won't see that little line popping out. But yeah, you can have this figure even bigger than it already was. And in case you're wondering, yes, we can take this piece off, move that to the side, bring his legs back on here, and attach him right back onto it. So now our Reed Richards is even bigger than he was before. So we're getting a lot of size here with this figure, and that's pretty great. And if that was all you came with, I'd be pretty happy with that, because that's pretty cool. That's a pretty unique kind of thing to have with a Mr. Fantastic toy in this modern day and age, but nope, there's more. And of what's more, that includes these 3 hands here. These are arguably probably the least impressive accessories that the figure comes with here. But yeah, there's 3 different hands. One's kind of like a knife hand chop on, well, basically a knife hand chop for each left and right hand. And we also have another hand here that can kind of just hold things. They're all fairly open hands. None of them are closed. You know, we could do a swap right now just to show you what one of them looks like. But, you know, the hands are fine. They're literally just hands, but it's always great to have hands. They can do different things, all sorts of great functions. So, yeah, there's a hand. Let's give the man a hand. But if we can actually go a step further and really give him a hand, because if you remember when I showed you guys the articulation earlier, how the glove part can move around, well, it doesn't just move around. It's also removable. And what can go into those spots? How about some arm extensions? Why not? Let's add some new arms with our Mr. Fantastic here. And now, not only is he stretching, he's got a very, very large open hand, which he can use to wave at you, or which you can use to slap down Lightning Kid. And we also have this big ol' arm over here, which has got an enormous fist on it, so you can now stretch and punch things. I mean, yeah, just check out the length on these arms too. I mean, so again, we've got the figure now practically doubling in size, and now his arm length has doubled as well. So I mean, man, you tell me, has Marvel Legends done anything as epic as this? Because really they haven't. And it's not a slight to Marvel Legends, they do great work as well. But I mean, really, just look at the fact that we're getting, you know, not only the extension, not only this chunk of his body over here as well, all these removable bits. I mean, just take all this in for a second here. This is a lot. This is a lot, and you're not paying extra for it. That's outrageous to me. The fact that Diamond Select can do this and get away with it, that's nuts to me. But hey, guess what? That's not all. We're not done yet. Because I believe we can also pop out his head, not just his head, but like his entire neck. And we have one other piece here, which is this over here. I believe we can just pop that in like that. And we'll do this. And now it's just gotten even creepier because Mr. Fantastic's head is all the way up here. So how big has this thing gotten now? I mean, it's kind of funny, but it's true. So yeah, you can now extend his head, you can extend his arms, like really, you can do everything with this figure, and that's absurd. And yes, this does move around and articulate as well, so you're not losing any articulation in the process, and everything's on here very firm. Some things I might not have squeezed down all the way just for the sake of making this video move a little bit faster, but yes, all the joints do squeeze in and fit the way that they should. And for his last accessory, I think I'm just going to go ahead and pop everything back to normal here, as normal as we can with Mr. Fantastic. But his last one, while it is very small, is equally important. And by the way, I do want to add that just as easily as you saw everything go back into him with all these different pieces, just as smoothly do they come back out and are replaced by his original parts. So, you know, that part is also really great. You would hope that toys do that and move parts as easily, but this was a breeze. This is actually really wonderful engineering for something I was very, very worried about. So, wow, way to go, Diamond. You really surprised me with that one, honestly. But the final accessory is the tiniest, but probably one of the coolest, because we have the Ultimate Nullifier. This little tiny guy right here is what Reed used to defeat Galactus way back when. At least I'm pretty sure this is meant to be the Nullifier. Correct me if I'm wrong, but pretty positive that this is, because this is meant to be an iconic look for Reed here. So yeah, we're just going to go ahead, slide this into his hand. I don't even know what the right way is to have him hold the Ultimate Nullifier, but I'm just going to do whatever way it fits. And yeah, there we go. So Reed has the Ultimate Nullifier. He's ready to take down Galactus, and man, this figure is really phenomenal. I mean, I gotta tell you guys, top to bottom, I was not expecting this. It's a Reed Richards figure. I mean, you never really know what to expect with a toy from Reed Richards, but I mean, seriously, Dr. Doom will be cursing this one for how good it is, because really, it's got everything you want. I mean, the fact is, it's just a very, very good figure to begin with. Even if it's just this is really solid. But then you add in all the different accessories we had here with it, and then it just becomes absolutely outrageous. I mean, again, we're talking this piece here. I'm gonna go ahead and just pile everything into the shot right now, just because you can get a better idea of how much he came with, which is really, like, this is pretty absurd how much is here with this toy. And what a value it is. I mean, look at all these pieces here. We have different hands, different torsos. I mean, you tell me a Reed Richards figure that comes with this. I really can't recall seeing too many others out there. But this is just nuts to me. I mean, seriously. That's all I can really say about this. And I think that's a good place to stop this review here, because, yeah, otherwise I'm going to keep going. But as far as I'm concerned, this is one of the best Reed Richards figures ever. I'm just going to put him inside myself right now. That's just a nice little container for him. This is absolutely one of the best Reed Richards figures I've ever seen. And the good news is that there is plenty more FF coming out soon. And about a year or two ago, we actually reviewed another Fantastic Four figure. That would be Johnny Storm over here. He was also a very good figure, one I didn't expect to enjoy as much, but turns out I did. So we have him, and unfortunately I don't have the Diamond Select version of him, but they did a thing a few years back, and now coming soon later, I assume this year, maybe early next year, we're going to get Sue Storm as well. So we'll have the entire Fantastic Four together, and that's going to be great. And I really do hope that Diamond, by the way, restocks that Thing figure, because that came out years ago, and we really kind of need to get a restock to have the entire family together. But that's our look at our Reed Richards figure, and he's going to hang out with Johnny Storm right now. Why not? I'll just put back 123 Kid also, so he doesn't feel left out, because he got whacked before. But yeah, that's our look at the Reed Richards figure from Diamond Select. Highly recommend it. If you want to get it for yourself, I recommend you check out my affiliate links in the description for this video below. I'm going to have a few different places you can buy it, and I recommend you guys pick them up from there, because if you use any of those links, they help support this YouTube channel at no extra cost to you. And hey, don't forget to let me know what you think about this Mr. Fantastic figure in the comments below, because I'm absolutely smitten with it, and in a lot of ways, it might actually even be better than the Blade, or at the very least on par with it, because man, between Blade and Mr. Fantastic, Diamond's like really up in their game this year, I really gotta say. So yeah, nothing to be disappointed about at all this year for them in terms of figures. So until next time, I'm Matthew, this has been Nerd News Today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys here later for more toy reviews, statue unboxings, and everything else we do here on the channel. One more finishing blow.